One.
Hi, my name's Gary Tomlinson. I'd like to welcome you to my home. It's the George Baker House. George Baker immigrated with his father in 1843 from Germany via England. His father Valentine, George was 17 at the time, his father Valentine and he came here. The land had just been ceded by the Potawatomi Nation to the federal government, and Valentine began to buy quarter sections of land from the federal government. By 1846, he had accumulated just under 400 acres of land. It extended from the east branch of the Dupage River, Little Dupage River, to just west of what is now Park Boulevard, then at the time an Indian trail.
Wow.
He accumulated this property and then died in 1846. George, in 1847, now at age 23, built this home. This is the original home, 3 stories high. The first floor is limestone walls, 18 inches thick. Second and third floor are 6 layers of brick, 12 to 15 inches thick. This room we think was probably a dining room. The entrance was probably on the other side, which we'll get to in a minute. This is the only chimney in the center of the house. On each floor you'll see an opening where there was a connection for a stove that could do the heating of the house. There was originally, and you can see better from the other side of the wall, a door here. This led to the other room, which we believe was the kitchen because of the chimney there that would be used for the cooking stove. George got married in 1848 to Mary Fortman. They eventually had either 7 or 8 children, we're not sure which. And in 1853, because not only did they have some of their children, but Mary's family was also living here, they built an addition to the house. So 6 years after the original, there was either a door through the limestone in this room, or they punched a hole through the limestone to this door, which leads to an addition that they made. This area, we're not sure how it was used, probably for sleeping purposes. Eventually, there was a pantry put at this end, and later in the 1940s, when the Babcocks bought the house and renovated it, they put a chimney at this end, so there could have been a cook stove there at one time, but certainly not during the Baker years or for the first 100 years of the house.
You have some wonderful antique pieces here, Gary.
That's a butter churn that belonged to my grandparents. They bought it new from a company in Rockford.
Wonderful.
And many of the pieces are not quite as old as the house, though beginning to approach that. In the living room, the sofa and or love seat and chair are in the same era of the house, about 1850. That piece was made in Kentucky, made its way finally to Illinois and into our hands.
Right. And is this what I think it is?
This, well, it's an old rocker. This belonged to my great-grandmother.
Oh, it is. I thought maybe it wasn't like it would have a bucket under there or something.
No.
Okay.
No. This was a rocker that belonged to my great-grandmother. I have a picture showing my uncle as a very little kid. He was born just after 1900, so it's about of that vintage.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's a rocker that belonged to Aunt Eleanor, Marion's Aunt Eleanor, not quite as old, but in the early 1900s.
Nice. And you said Marion is stripping
the woodwork in the old original part of the house. This is where the walls are a little thicker. The woodwork is being stripped of paint.
Nice.
The clock belonged to Marion's great grandfather. He lived from around 1825 to 1880. So it's also the same period as the house.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Is that it for this floor?
That's it for this floor.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
one interesting feature is of the house is that it's built into the side of a hill, so that on the back side, the part of the foundation that's underground is actually rubble stone, field stone, that was found on the property, and this is one little section of the entire foundation.
Interesting.
That now forms one wall of a shower.
Awesome. Great.
And this is the root cellar that was built as part of the 1853 construction with, again, thick rubble stone walls. The roof, or the shelter for the root cellar at that time began at this level and then sloped gently up to a higher level and had, of course, as the typical root cellars had, an outside door that opened. It was an opening in the roof, effectively, of the root cellar.
Cool.
And eventually we know where George and Mary are buried. We've seen their tombstone, and all of that.
This goes around and around, or up and down, or which way?
You
go and show me this, so I know which way it
it's
goes.
fastened right now, but you take this and turn it.
And then what happens
You
here? This goes around and
cream in
around?
there. You put cream in there.
Yeah.
And
And there's stuff inside that's separated
the
or
whole
something?
thing goes
Oh,
around.
okay, now I see it, yeah, right.
And when you take cream and agitate it that much, I don't know what the reaction is.
Yeah, we had out at Pine Creek at West Chicago the other day, they had a field days or fair days, and they'd just take a glass jar and shake it up in there, and eventually it would get hard.
One of the people who was here earlier is a teacher, and she said they do that. They take a bottle, put some marbles in it, and shake it for a while, and eventually they get butter.
Right.
These are beautiful. Are these period?
No.
They're great looking
Those
though.
actually came from India.
They did. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we went to India and saw those and thought, wow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about
This is period.
This is
Yeah.
period. I
Yeah.
thought so. That's beautiful.
That's something. Okay, I'll get out of your way.
You're the.
Hi, I'm Marion Tomlinson, and we're about to go in the second floor of the house. As you can see from the background, we're at ground level here. That's because of the hill. Now, before we go in, one of the features of the house is that originally this was the front of the house. It's now the back of the house, but originally it was the front. And there are two ways we know that, or suspect that, because we don't really know. One is the transom over the door. You can see the transom that typically would be the entrance to the main entrance to the house. The other thing is that at the time the house was built, the only thoroughfare in the area was Park Boulevard, and with this being the front door, it would face on Park Boulevard. Now, this is the back of the house, and it faces on Route 53. We aren't sure when that was switched around, but we think probably, or possibly at least, when they built the addition onto the house. So, I guess the next thing would be to go inside and see the inside of the house as if you were coming in the front door to our